let's just take some time to land in our space, in our bodies. So you might sit on a chair or a pillow and feel free to wiggle a little bit. You might close your eyes. Just taking some time to notice the breath, noticing any thoughts or stories that we're arriving with, and seeing if we can let them go for now. We can pick them up later. Noticing the rise and fall of breath. And then slowly, as you're ready, we can transition to standing if that feels possible or interesting to you today. And really taking our time to follow this transition. So feeling the sensations of the body as we move, following what feels good, noticing the weight of the body, and allowing ourselves some time to explore, to not quite know what we're going to find. And today we'll spend some extra time on balance. So noticing the physicality of balance. So feeling your weight on your feet if you're coming to your feet. Noticing the weight of the head, the weight of the pelvis. And once you've found your way to standing, if you've chosen to come to standing, or if you've explored your way to a different position, you might try shaking out your hands and feet. Noticing here what it feels like to balance on one foot, even just for a second. And then rubbing the hands together and bringing the hands to the low back, to the pelvis. Just noticing what this area of the body feels like today. The low belly, the shape of the pelvis, the weight, this central part of the body. And then you might rub your hands up and down your spine, noticing the length of the spine, the shape of the vertebra, the movements as you breathe, maybe shaking out the hands and feet again, rubbing the hands together and bringing the hands over the eyes, noticing the breath here. Feeling any tension, any extra stress around the face, behind the eyes, in the area of the jaw. And then offering yourself some gentle touch from the head down to the feet, tending to the entire body with movement, with touch, with awareness. Checking in with the ears, with the scalp, with the throat. Feeling the neck and shoulders, exploring the movement of the arms, maybe squeezing out the arms, squeezing out each finger. And just letting go of anything extra, anything that you don't need to carry in your body anymore, in your tissues. Allowing the breath to completely fill us up and completely empty. Feeling the ribs, the chest, the side body, the back and the belly. Maybe giving yourself belly rub, checking in with the pelvis, with the hips, and then shaking out the legs, maybe giving the legs a squeeze, feeling the ankles, moving the feet around, and feeling each toe. And then taking some time to warm up the hips, maybe with small circles, side to side. Following any last wiggles or stretches, gentle touch, any places that would like some extra attention. And then slowly exploring your way down to sitting, or maybe lying down, getting ready to welcome in more stillness. So making sure that your hips are a little bit higher than your knees. Finding some stability here, rooting down, feeling the support of the ground. You might rock your pelvis forward and back, feeling the connection between the weight of the skull, the length of the spine, and the pelvis. And then finding that place where your head feels supported, it feels a little bit lighter, your spine is long, the pelvis is tipped forward just a bit, pouring the bowl of the pelvis towards the front so that your belly can be soft. Your shoulders are wide. The jaw relaxes. And we can close the eyes or soften the gaze, just taking the attention inwards. So noticing this sense of balance on the pelvis, balance on the sits bones. So just checking to see if we're tipped more forward, more back, or to one side or the other. And seeing if we can find that place where we're right on the center of the pelvis, so the head can almost float in space. And then bringing the attention to the breath. Noticing as the breath travels in through the nose or mouth, filling the chest and belly. And then relaxing as we release the breath, letting go of any extra tension, allowing the shoulders to fall back and down. Feeling the expansion in the spine, in the ribs, in the pelvic floor, in the belly and chest. And then finding surrender as the body lets go. Relaxing around the eyes, between the eyebrows. Noticing the thoughts as they come and go, and just allowing them to pass by. Giving the thinking mind a short break. And bringing the attention back to the sensations of the body happening right now. Finding lots of space in the body, space in the mind. Allowing the spine to be long, the shoulders to be wide. Allowing the body to be energized and relaxed. Staying with this sense of being alert, of bringing the mind over and over back to the sensations of the breath. And at the same time, relaxing the tissues of the body. Allowing the bones to be stacked up so there's no extra working. Noticing that the breath will just come and go on its own. We don't have to do anything. The breath is completely effortless. And checking again to see if we can let go of any tension in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the belly. And noticing our sense of balance stacked right over the pelvis. If we've tipped forward a bit, just allowing the body to tip back. Noticing if our weight has shifted to one side or the other. And bringing the head right over the spine, right over the shoulders and ribs, right over the pelvis, and allowing the ground to hold us up. Really giving our weight to the ground, finding the support. And seeing if there might be a sense of wave-like sensuality in the breath. Just noticing how the breath comes in and fills us up, accentuating the curves of the spine, expanding the pelvic floor, and then allowing the body to drop down as we breathe out, letting go of tension. Following the gentle waves, the movement of breath throughout the body. Maybe there's even a sense of pleasure in the breath, simply in being breathed. Enjoying the body. Enjoying the breath. Enjoying this short time to not have to do anything or go anywhere. And then slowly, as you're ready, you might allow the movements to be a little bit bigger. Maybe following the waves of breath in circles or gentle undulations with the spine. Exploring the sense of being in balance and out of balance. So noticing when you feel a little bit tipped over, noticing when the muscles have to start working to keep you up, to keep you from falling, and seeing if there's any sense of the bones being stacked up. Balanced right over the ground, right over each other. And you might even imagine a toddler and how toddlers, when they're figuring out how to sit and how to stand, they stack their bones up in perfect alignment. Their muscles aren't very strong yet, so in order to sit up, their head has to be stacked right over their spine, right over their pelvis. And as soon as they go too far to one side or the other, they fall down. So maybe going from side to side, just exploring what happens when we're not in balance. Feeling the muscles of the side body, the muscles of the belly start to turn on. Noticing the weight of the head, the weight of the arms, maybe exploring tipping one arm over to the side, tipping the head over. Noticing what happens in the pelvis, in the spine. And then slowly, as you're ready, you might explore the transition to standing. So really paying attention here to the weight of the skull, the weight of the head, and the weight of the pelvis, and the way that the body has to balance the skull and the pelvis in order to be upright, to not fall down. Also paying extra attention to the feet, the width of the feet, the length of the feet, all these tiny bones, tiny joints in the feet that miraculously hold up this whole body. So exploring the transition from sitting to standing. How does this body find balance? How do we evenly distribute the weight on both feet, throughout the pelvis? Maybe you stay seated, and if you also have the weight of a baby either outside of your body or inside of your body, exploring this element too of how does the body find balance as it's growing and changing with this wiggling little baby. So maybe closing the eyes, noticing the feet here, noticing the pelvis, and you might explore tipping your weight from one side to the other. So if you're standing, you can explore putting more weight on one foot, feeling what happens in the pelvis, noticing what happens in the spine, in the shoulders, in the head. If you're sitting, feel free to tip your body onto one side of the pelvis and then following the alignment up. So noticing the spine from the pelvis to the spine to the head, feeling the ribs. So just taking some time to explore here, noticing what happens when you tip your head to one side and find your weight on one foot. Seeing if we can stay with the breath here. So really exploring with gravity, noticing when we come back to the center and stack all the bones up, finding a sense of effortlessness in the muscles, allowing the weight of the skeleton to do the work, and then going out of balance and feeling which muscles have to turn on. How much weight can you put on one side without falling down? Can you lift up one foot? Can the breath still be relaxed here? What happens when we tip forward? So the weight of the head here is really significant. So noticing what happens in the pelvis, in the spine, as the head tips forward. And then maybe you take a little pause in the center. Exploring with the feet here. So finding the broadest, most stable feet. So allowing the toes to expand. Allowing all of the joints of the feet to find some space, like monkey feet, allowing the feet to be really alive. And then feeling up through the feet, seeing if we can stack all the bones and let go of any extra effort. And then as you're ready, maybe bending the knees a little bit just to kind of feel the weight of the pelvis, feel the weight of the spine, of the head, and then exploring again, tipping to one side, seeing you might balance your weight on one foot. Closing your eyes adds an extra challenge, an extra element. So just noticing what happens in the body, what happens in the mind as we go in and out of balance. What happens in the breath. Feeling any places that feel strong, places that feel numb or tingly. Places that feel spacious. Just noticing, is there a way for the whole body to play? And if there are any areas that don't get to play, just noticing if there's somewhere that feels stiff or not included. Maybe it just doesn't, it's not used to moving. Maybe you explore tipping the body forward. Just exploring with the length of the spine, the pelvis, the feet. Can you come up onto your tiptoes? Can you close your eyes? Just noticing anything that comes up here. Maybe there's resistance to falling. Of course, if you're carrying a baby, I'm sure there's resistance to falling. Noticing any fear that arises or tension in the body, in the mind. Just noticing. And then what if the pelvis gets to explore? Can the pelvis go to the back, to the sides? What do the feet need to do in order to keep the body upright? If you're sitting and you're exploring with the pelvis, you might notice what the shoulders, what the head needs to do in order to stay upright. And then you might explore a different position, maybe squatting, maybe down on your knees, maybe sitting on the floor or sitting on a chair. And again, exploring with the weight of the head. When the head tips forward, what happens in the spine, in the pelvis, in the belly? How does the body find balance? When the head tips to the side, what happens in the ribs? And then wherever you are, taking a small pause. Maybe closing your eyes. Noticing the jaw. Releasing any tension in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the belly. Feeling the movement of breath. You might explore bringing the hands over the eyes and offering gentle touch down over the face, over the throat, the chest, over the belly. Just integrating all of these movements. Letting go of anything extra. And noticing anything that's changed in the body, in the mind. Following the next 3 breaths. And then slowly, as you're ready, coming together to share anything that came up.